Welcome to Backstage with Becca B, with special guest Bianca Gisselle. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca B. On this episode, this LA actress, singer, and songwriter has her own music available on platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, and more. Plus, she's been in shows around LA such as Romeo and Juliet, Love is a Battlefield, UMPO Mean Girls, UMPO Jurassic Park, I Know What You Did Last Summer musical, and more. Please welcome Bianca Gisselle.
How have you been? I miss your face.
I've been good. I'm in Texas.
Oh, you're in Texas.
Yeah.
What part of Texas?
I'm in Dallas.
Did we talk about this, that my parents live in Houston?
I think so. We have before, yeah.
Yeah, because that sounds familiar to me. That's nice. Good thing you got out of here because and the apocalypse in Los Angeles. So
yeah, with the fires and everything.
Because yeah, exactly. I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you did, all the photos. It was crazy. It literally looked like a scene from Blade Runner or something. It was really awful. And what's worse is that since everything is closed down, it's not like you can be like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the movie theater to kill time today and be inside. You can't do that. So we've been all cooped up and then just staring out our windows. And then there was an awful earthquake the other night. I shouldn't say awful, I'm sorry. There was a very scary earthquake the other night. So it's been not fun. So good for you for getting out.
Yeah.
Haven't missed anything except for natural disasters. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I missed that earthquake because everyone was freaking out and I was like, yeah, I don't like earthquakes much.
I felt quite a few of them living here now, but that one, normally it shakes and you're like, oh my God, we're having an earthquake, but it doesn't go on long enough that you're like, I should get up, because it takes you a couple seconds, or at least for me, to register what's happening. And then by the time you register what's happening, you're like, oh my God, we're having an earthquake. It stops a few seconds after. This one, those few seconds happened. I realized we were having an earthquake. Then I was like, oh my God, it's an earthquake. Then I'm like, it's still going. And then I'm like, is it going to stop? And then I'm like, okay, I guess I should get up? Should I run for something? It was, at least for me, it was very long and maybe the longest one I felt because I was able to have all those thoughts. Whereas before I don't normally, because it's so fast, you don't normally have time to think I got to get up. I got to do something, or at least for me anyway.
That's how last summer's earthquakes were for me, kind of.
Were you there the night that we had an earthquake during I Know?
No, I wasn't there that night, but I know what earthquake you're talking about.
Girl, we were I think it was Trent with me that night. And you know how in the 2.0 version, we had, oh, sorry, I'm just springing into this. Are you recording already?
Yeah, no, it's recording already.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going for it. I remember the first scene in that second version of the show that we did last summer. It starts off with me and whoever's, the fisherman characters behind me, and we're in the church scene or whatever, and I'm doing a confessional. And I'm in the middle, and it's supposed to be really emotional and very serious and focused. And all of a sudden I feel because we're sitting on a bench, and I feel the bench and I was like, what is he doing? I think Trent is dancing behind me all of a sudden. I'm like, and Trent is the kind of person that, he's definitely into improvisation and which is so why we all love working with him. He's so wonderful. But so I just assumed he was doing one of his Trent things and making something up. And then I realized that in the back, the scaffolding that the guys are on is moving, and I'm pretty sure Brian, because Brian and Ryan I think are back there, they both grabbed each other and looked at each other, and then I realized curtains were swaying and the doors were going, and I was like, it's an earthquake. And I'm like, do we keep going? And the audience stayed put. I think everyone else knew what was happening before. I think I was the last one to realize what was happening, but everyone stayed seated. And then it passed, and the show kept going. But it was so weird. I was like, what?
Yeah.
is happening right now? Man, earthquakes.
It's one of those things, if you live in an apartment too, it's one of those things that you like always think it's like your upstairs neighbor too at first.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're like,
What are they
doing? Yeah. Come on, you guys, be, respectful of your neighbors. Yeah.
Why is there an elephant above me?
Yeah, exactly. Ridiculous.
Well, anyways, I'm glad that everything besides the natural disasters seems to be kind of okay in LA at least, and people are.
I mean, this week so far has been good. Like the temperature has cooled off a little bit. The air quality is so much better. Like I can see a blue sky instead of a literally red sky. Like I'm not even exaggerating. It was like an orange red color for days. Crazy. Yeah, so things have cooled off a little bit and chilled out for now. I don't want to say that like too loudly and then all of a sudden
There's another earthquake right now.
Yeah, I don't want to test our luck, so.
Yeah. But I mean, so speaking of theater, kind of going right into theater, and off the natural disasters.
Yeah, natural disaster theater. It feels like that like is the next step. Yeah, for sure.
Theater's definitely a more exciting topic.
Yeah.
Yes. So, have you always known that you wanted to be a performer, sing, act of some sort, or?
Yeah, so I don't ever remember a time where I like decided I wanted to do it. Like I just always have been doing it since I was a little kid. And my mom likes to like tell the story that before I was even like speaking full sentences and like really knowing how to talk, I was singing along with the radio and like melodies and things like that. Like singing definitely came first, but like I don't ever remember a time where I wasn't singing. Like I've always been singing something, performing somewhere, whether it's like school things or I grew up in the church when I was younger. So, choir stuff and those kinds of like shows in your church. So I don't remember a time where I wasn't doing that. I do remember a time because I was singing, she would put me in musicals, my mom, and not her herself, she's not like a director, but she would like, take me to places that they were doing musicals. And I remember like having the realization when I was like, I don't know, like 9 or something. And I was like, playing other characters is so fun, and then I was like, I want to take acting class. And luckily we were able to find one and stuff like that. But it's been from a very young age. It's the only thing I'm really good at. So I can't really do much else.
Have you always, even when you were younger, because you have your own music?
Yeah.
I feel like we have to mention because your music's great. And,
Thank you.
Like, people should listen if they haven't already.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Have you always been into creating your own songs? Like even when you were young as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I guess little kids always like make up their own songs, but I was the person that was like writing it down and stuff. Like I've always been a songwriter as well. And I remember like being really little. This is embarrassing. I can't believe I'm telling this story, but my dad, he's a computer engineer. So he had access to like, old laptops and old gear and things like that his offices weren't using anymore. And so he would bring them home to me. And one time he brought me this like plug-in microphone. It looked very like Bob Barker from Price is Right. Like it was like a long skinny thing. And I would plug it in my computer and this was like Windows like in the 90s. So I don't even remember what program I used, but I somehow figured out a way to record myself. So I would like record songs into the computer. And this was when I was young, when I couldn't figure out a good rhyme or something, and I was just like in a flow, like I was just like going, I would like start making up words, like full on making up a word. Like I would do like a full sentence or full phrase or something, and then I'd do another sentence, and the end of that phrase, if I didn't really know where it was going, I would just make something up. Like really, really cool, really like a real cool kid.
Yeah.
And then I also did this thing where I would like pretend I was on a radio. and to be like, hey, I'm Bianca, welcome to the blah, blah, blah radio. And I do a whole thing. But I gave up on those radio DJ jobs very early on. So.
You're like, I don't want to go in that direction. I want to go in the making up words direction.
Yeah, making up words when I haven't thought of a rhyme quick enough.
Yeah.
It kind of translated. To be fair, that it did kind of translate, and I think I'm not alone in this. I'm sure others, musically inclined people or songwriters or whatever do the same thing. But when you get a melody and you're like working on a song, sometimes you don't have the lyrics right away, but you have the melody, so you'll just start like singing garble. Like you'll just start like be like doo da da doo shooby doo beep, like made up things and sounds. So I feel like maybe it like translated for me into that later on. Is what I'm going to tell myself.
Yes. And then you came back to like the lyrics later, maybe, or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'll do that. Like, and I've seen other artists do it too, where, if we're in a studio or whatever and we're producing out the track, but the lyrics haven't necessarily been written out, or if they want to go home and write the lyrics like alone by themselves, a lot of the times we'll lay down a scratch vocal with just like made up words, just so we have like the syllable beats in there and like with the melody, and then we can go back and add actual words to it. So yeah.
Okay, so I don't think I know this, but when you first came to California, did you start in theater, or did you start with trying to write and release your own music?
The goal when I was moving to LA was always to, like, the reason, because I'm from Florida originally, and a lot of my friends who I performed with growing up back home, they went up to New York. I was the only one that went out to California, but the reason for that is because I didn't want to do musical theater, ironically. I always loved it, and I grew up doing it, but I wanted to focus more on like songwriting and the music side of it, and like I mean, doing musicals whenever I want to, or whenever I get the opportunity to, but like mainly focusing on like having like an acting career and then like a music career and kind of keeping them separate. So I went to Cal Arts, which is a arts conservatory up in Santa Clarita Valley, if you know where that is.
Yeah.
And I went, they didn't have like a musical theater. They only had an acting school. So I did that, but what was great about Cal Arts is that they really encouraged like crossing into other métiers and like taking classes in the film school and taking classes in the dance school and so I did like a lot of classes in the music school and the dance and the film, and like kind of like did my own thing, which was kind of cool. But yeah, originally I wasn't coming out here to do musicals, but then literally as soon as I graduated, I think I booked 3 shows like at the same time, and 2 of them were musicals. So it's like, oh, well, here we are. But I love it. I mean, what's so great about what I found anyway in my experience, what's so great about doing musicals and and just theater in general, like straight plays as well, is that you kind of create a better sense of community, because you're kind of like stuck with those people for months before it even opens, right? Before the show even opens. And it's such a battle to get a show up. I mean, and we have it the easiest. Like the creative team they're crazy people for doing that job. You feel like you're like climbing uphill to get a show open, and there's this energy that everyone is like working together. And I think that I was lucky to have landed into some of these, things at like the Rockwell or whatever, and created like my own little sense of like family and community out here. So I'm grateful that I happened to find myself doing musicals again, even though that wasn't the plan. So,
well, I'm grateful too. And it sounds like the school program you went to, kind of like helped you get even more well versed in everything, so that like it would prepare you to conquer musical theater in LA.
Yeah, totally. It definitely did. Yeah, I feel really lucky that I was able to like have that experience, because I also felt like I've heard comments from other people who just studied musical theater, and it's like, well, they got a ton of like dance training, which is amazing, but some of them like wanted more acting training or whatever. So it's like, it's cool that I kind of had a little bit more flexibility and that I was able to like pick and choose, like if I took a dance class in the dance school, you know, or I didn't, you know, whatever. So yeah, I agree with what you said.
Yes. And then what was the first theater show you booked after your school? Or the first three?
It wasn't, well, both of them were not like Broadway shows, or like, you know, they were new things for out here. So one of them was called Spider Baby the Musical, and based on a 1960s film called, I think, Spider Baby. And it was it wasn't a musical film, and these people created original music around the story of it. And it sort of reminded me of, like, if you know The House of Yes at all, like, which is also from another like old movie that's a play as well. It's just like a strange, weird kind of story, sort of centered around like what is the meaning of family, and like what does that look like, and it's not conventional, you know. So that was a cool experience, and it was a more of a rock musical, which was really fun. So that was fun. And I played the main girl, and she like kind of goes crazy, so like that was really fun to play. And then the other one was like a fairy tale show. Do I even know the name of it? No, I don't. But I played Snow White, and it was something like, it was a comedy, and it was sort of like if things got turned upside down in like these fairy tale worlds. And and I remember it also like pulled from the Grimm fairy tales, so it was like darker, you know, like I think whoever played Cinderella, like the stepsisters. Do you know the Grimm story of Cinderella?
I a little bit, I think, maybe.
Really dark, like Little Mermaid dies at the end, you know. And in Cinderella, when the stepsisters were trying to fit their feet into the shoes, they actually cut their feet to try and fit them in there. So like that was like in her show and stuff. I can't remember what my dark thing was. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, so that was fun. And then there was there was another show that was actually really interesting. It wasn't a musical, and it was about Eva Hess, who was this German artist in the 80s? Ooh, I'm so terrible. I don't remember. I have the worst memory. But anyway, it was really cool because the story was her life in 3 chapters, like when she's really young, when she's like in her 20s, and then when she's older and she ends up getting sick and all this stuff. And she, you know, lived through some of the oppressive times in Germany, all this stuff. Anyway, so I played her when she was in her 20s. And that was just a really fun show because I got to play a real person, you know? So that was cool. Yeah. So those were like the first few shows that I booked out of school.
Nice. And then because you've done so many LA theater shows since.
Yes.
I mean, the reason I've gotten to see you on stage is through like Rockwell and stuff.
Yes.
And how did you get involved with that LA theater community? Because it's such a tight-knit community.
Yeah. How did it happen? It just feels like one thing morphs into the other. Like you meet people, you work with people, you hear about other shows and things. I had done Rent, and when I did Rent, Everjohn, who I don't know if you've had on yet or if you talked to before, but he was in me, and we became really good friends after that show. And then he brought me to a party where I met Jen Ugin, who co-directed and choreographed American Idiot. I met her at, like, I think it was her birthday party or something. And then I met someone else there, and they were telling me about the Rockwell. And like literally like 2 days later, they were having auditions. Cause at that point I'd already seen one of the For the Record shows. And this was back when Shane Shield was still working at the Rockwell, and all that stuff was still happening there. And they were having auditions like a few days after this party, and I just showed up to the auditions. and yeah, I auditioned, and thankfully I got into it. And it was kind of the last project that they started at Rockwell before they left to do DBA and all these other great things that they've done. So that was like the first thing. And it's so funny because like that was also Michael Thomas Grant was in that with me. That was his first show there. Caitlin Airy, Nikki Classical. I don't think either of them had done anything at the Rockwell yet. And then like James Bice was in it, and Jason Page, and Alex Zagnowski, and who else? I'm blanking on some other people who I'm sure have done a million shows at the Rockwell. But yeah, so like that was my first thing there. And then it's just one of those places where, if you love it there and you become good friends and you keep auditioning, it's like they kind of built a company without having a real company. That's why I think so many of the same people you see in the shows come back, and do other shows and things like that. So that's kind of how that happened. Like, I don't know, after that, it was just like, oh, here's an audition this day, here's an audition this day. Because you're right, I think the LA musical community is so small.
Yeah, people don't realize.
Yeah, it's so small. And, I think that it gets bigger as far as like those who do stuff at 5 Star and La Mirada and stuff. And I almost feel like that's a different world too. Like, I don't really work with a lot of people that do shows there, and they don't normally come to the Rockwell as often. So it's sort of like, I don't know, different little pockets, I guess. But that's kind of how that happened. Yeah, it was sort of just a word of mouth thing, and I just showed up to an audition, and thank God I got it. And I've sort of been in and out of Rockwell since 2014, which is crazy.
Yeah. And that's like 6 years now.
I can't believe it. It's insane.
It's like time flies.
Time flies, yeah. And it's, I'm so grateful to that place because, like I said earlier, like my best friends, my closest friends are people I've met from either doing shows at the Rockwell or like because of a show I did at the Rockwell, I did a show somewhere else and made, like, I know what you did last summer, wasn't at the Rockwell, but I only knew Jordan sort of before that because of the Rockwell. So I'm really grateful to have had that place for sure, to have been a part of it.
And I mean, you kind of just talked about this, but what do you think makes Rockwell like such a special venue in LA that audience members love to come back to? Because there's a lot of, I know I'm not the only repeat audience member.
Well, you're our favorite one, so you're the most supportive, so we love you the most. Gosh, that's a great question. I've been it's so funny that you bring that up because this conversation has come up with me and some other people from the Rockwell recently, and I think the biggest thing is the people. Like, we really have so much fun in those shows. Like, we run around like idiots. Like, and we all love each other so much. Like, I've been very lucky because every once in a while, obviously, there's a show where it's a job. Like, you go in, you do the show, it's over, you leave. But I've been very lucky, at least in all the productions I've done at the Rockwell, where it's like we're all obsessed with each other and we all hang out outside of work. And, and then when we're on stage, like, obviously, I think we're all professional enough to stay in character, but we're also like screwing around with each other the whole time. And which is great because it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us, it really like exercises that muscle. Like, we're better artists because of it. And we're just having so much fun. I think that's really what it is, because I think on paper the shows are fun, they're from movies that we all love, but I think what really brings it to life is like all of us kind of working together and like really like working as a team and building each other up and like setting each other up for jokes and things like that. And like Greg obviously writing us amazing music to sing and different compositions and arrangements and stuff. So I really think it's the people that makes it really successful. And that's why I think that, like, as long as there's this like little pocket of people, I think that because there's so many questions about the future with theater, especially in LA. And I just feel like as long as this kind of core group sticks together, like it's going to be back no matter what. And it might be in a different context, who knows? But I think that that's what people enjoy watching when they come and watch the shows.
Yeah. People gravitate towards, watching people on stage having fun and like feeling that people on stage are having fun, and like it's not just like another I have to go to work thing for the people on stage.
Yeah, and like it's I think wait, I just lost my train of thought. Wait, I just had it. This happens to me all the time. Working with people, what people love to see. I think that we're bringing the audience along with us when we do that too.
Yeah.
Like it's as all theater is great, but it's not the kind of theater, we're very self-aware. It's not the kind of theater where you go and you sit in a proscenium, stage and all this stuff, and you watch a play, which is wonderful. It's like, we don't do that. Like we're weird, and we own that, and we call attention to it all the time, in all the shows that we do. Like we're always like making up our own thing as we go, and we bring the audience along with us, and I think that is a big part of it too.
Yes. And were you you talk about like kind of the improv side of Rockwell. Were you well versed in improv before Rockwell, or was that something that you kind of learned?
So I think like any actor, they should, if they haven't, has improv training. Like for me, it was actually the first real acting training I had when I was all those many years ago, when I said that when I kind of talked about earlier, like when I was younger and I was like, I want to try this acting thing. The first thing my mom got me into was a improv school. So, and I did that for many years. So like, but then, it always came up later on in my education. Like I went to a performing arts high school as well. So like we had improv classes there. We had improv when I went to Cal Arts as well. Like it's always, and improv is not always necessarily like being funny. Like you need it because especially in live theater, like, or live television, like anything can go wrong, like, and it will. So you have to be able to think on your toes, and be able to carry the story when all hell is breaking loose and whatever's happening, when an earthquake is happening, so I think that's always, and if any actors haven't, I highly recommend them get themselves to go and get I guess you can't go anywhere, to do a online improv class, because it's super helpful, and you will use that tool in all aspects of your acting career.
I feel like it probably helps boost confidence too, in a way.
It does, for sure. And I think it like helps in life situations as well. Like I'm actually like more of an introvert trying to pretend to be an extrovert. And growing up, I was definitely more shy, and like even to this day I still feel really like socially awkward in certain situations. So like improv really helped with that, because it's like you're having to put yourself out there all the time. So I feel like it hasn't just helped me with like acting stuff.
Yeah. And then I have to ask, because your voice, like you have a great belting voice, kind of, I would say. So, and they give you a lot of great songs in any show you're in. What song has been your favorite to sing in a show?
Oh, good question. Oh my God, I don't know. That's so hard. There's so many that I love.
There's so many powerhouse ones that you've sung.
Playing Mimi was really awesome. So like, Out Tonight is just like, oh my God, it's such like a freeing, like kick-ass, like girl power kind of a song, which I really love. But then that wasn't at the Rockwell, that was somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then it's fun to do songs at the Rockwell or like just in immersive theater in general, like I know you did last summer, because you're so close to people that like I'm so tempted to just like scream in their faces because they're so close to you. So whenever I get like good belting songs in those shows, that's always really fun. I mean, I loved doing Stronger in Mean Girls. That was fun. I also loved doing, I sang Heart Attack by Demi Lovato in this show called Roar that was at the Rockwell, which is pre-UMPO. And that was so fun because the arrangement was so cool. Like whoever arranged it for us, like had everyone else sang like almost like a choir underneath me. So it even sounded like more of an epic song. So that was really fun too. I think like any of those like pop rock female empowerment songs are just my favorite for sure.
Yes. And I'm dying for you to like have a chance to go back to doing runs and playing Mimi again, because I would love to see you take on that role.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was so fun. I mean, it was so fun. I love that show so much. I know everyone, like, all the musical theater snobs have something negative to say about the writing or whatever. I still love it. Because he unfortunately passed away before he, I guess, really could finish it as the story or rework it or whatever. So, I just love the music so much. I love the stories. I actually I've been dying. One of my like dream roles actually is Maureen, and because Take Me or Leave Me is one of my favorite.
Yes.
And I remember when I auditioned for this show, I originally went in for Maureen. I didn't go in for Mimi, and
I could see that too.
And they were like, when I got the call back, they were like, "We want you to come back for Mimi." And I mean, I wasn't going to be like, no! But a little part of me was a little bummed, if I'm being honest, just because I love... Maureen is so not like me. Like, she's so out there. She, like, unapologetically is her own unique self. Like, she will scream about anything that she believes in and support anything she believes in, like, so outwardly without any hesitation. And I really admire that about her. But at the same time, Mimi is also amazing, and getting to like dive into that character. We had such a great director, Michael Shepard, who's kind of well known in the LA theater world. He directed us in that, and he gave me some great homework and documentaries to watch and all this stuff. So it was still such a rewarding experience to play her. But yeah, I mean, I would love to do Rent again. We tried for a hot second to do like a reading for charity one year. I think it was for charity. So I'm hoping that, we can kind of pick that up again at some point in the future. Just to like get to sing those songs again with everyone. And like some of those group numbers are so intricate, and
They're
yeah,
so good.
that show.
It's a special show.
It's a special show for sure. Yeah. Did you see the live one? That one was fun.
The one that was on TV. When was it? What year was it? I don't know what year it is right now.
Last year? Did I make that up? Wasn't it last year?
It was 2019. Yeah.
Yeah,
It just seems like it was so long ago.
Yeah. Who knows? What is time anymore? Yeah, and they like, I feel so bad for, I don't even know his name, but the guy who broke his leg. But I still enjoyed the show. The set was so cool.
I was there at the taping.
You were? How was it?
It was, well, I was there when he broke his leg, and it was an experience. Everyone was like, what's going on? Why is it taking so long to film the last scene?
Oh, that's right, because he broke it in
dress rehearsal.
Yeah, and but what's the song? It's him and Mark.
Yeah. It's and what you want? What you want, I think.
Yeah. Oh man, poor guy. God, that sucks.
Yeah, and it was something. But it was amazing.
No?
He finished the show like as best he could. They had him like up on a table at the end.
Could you imagine? You just broke your leg, and they're like, "Can you finish the last scene?" And so you sit on stage with a broken leg, which is probably hurting so bad. I've never broken a bone, thank God, but I can only imagine.
Knock on something.
I know, right? Knock on some wood. But like, could you imagine and then like having to be really emotional at the end of the show? I'd probably just be crying from the pain, I guess.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this makes it easier. Ow. Like,
insane. I can't believe that. Wow.
A trooper, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of things that can go wrong on stage, because I feel like you never know what's going to happen at a Rockwell show, especially. Or a show like, I Know What You Did Last Summer. What's the funniest thing that's happened on stage in the show?
I mean, the earthquake is a good one. That was ridiculous. I think one of the funniest things, which I feel so dumb about. I mean, anytime you like trip, or especially, and you never trip when it's like it works for the character. It's always like when you're commanding something or being really serious or something, and all of a sudden you trip. Like it's when you're trying to be cool, But I remember it was, I think our first night with an audience for Mean Girls at the Rockwell, and we finished Act 1. We finished Act 1, and it was when first night with an audience for Mean Girls at the Rockwell, and we finished Act 1. We finished Act 1, and it was when me and Regina are on the center platform, and we end, and I'm always facing the back, and she's facing the stage, and it's blackout, and we're supposed to get off. Well, since it was the first night with an audience, someone forgot to put glow tape on the platform, and I fell off the stage, and I literally fell into Marissa Jarrett Winokur. She was there. Thank God it was her. Oh my God. Thank God I'm there, and was able to pull her hands out. But I landed into her and into the chair, so I had this bruise the next week from the chair. But it was I don't know how to demonstrate it. It was I went here, and then there was not a platform, so it kind of was this situation. If she wasn't there, I would have fallen on my face, because it happened so fast, and I was in the dark because the lights are on you, on me, right? So
yeah,
blinded. So it was I had no reflexes. I would have had no reflexes to stop. That was really ridiculous. I don't think, and the thing is I was of course laughing at myself about it later, but I don't think anyone else saw it. At least no one I told the cast, and no one said anything. They were I didn't see that, or you'd think, because we are screw around with each other, that I would have walked upstairs and would have been graceful exit, Bianca, is what one of them would have said. But I don't think anyone saw it, but I saw it, and
Marissa saw it.
That was pretty dumb. Oh wait, there's one other one actually. I know what you did last summer. Okay, so it's really annoying that guys have really common names like Ryan and Brian, and then it's also really annoying when both of them are in one show with you, and then it's also really annoying when Brian's name is now I'm getting it backwards. Yeah, Brian is Barry and Ryan is Ray. So it's all the R&B names are really annoying. So we had an understudy on that night, this guy Connor, who was amazing. Yeah. He went on for Ryan, who plays my love interest. Yeah. And there's that moment where he's calling out I think he's singing I Want You Back from NSYNC. And so he's trying to profess his love to me, and I'm screw you, I'm leaving. At the end, I'm supposed to say I can't do this, Ray, or something. I say something with his name in it, and it was me and Connor, and I said, I can't do this, Barry. He goes, and it was oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. And it wasn't a quick cue, he had to say another line. So it was oh no, I didn't say that, but in my head I'm well, I don't know how to save this, my improv skills were failing me. And he just goes, Barry. I was so offended. Oh my God, I was oh, whatever, sorry, bye. I don't even know, I just was so mortified. That was really dumb too.
Oh my gosh.
So many stupid things like that come up. Or you forget a costume change, you forget a prop or something, so dumb.
I was gonna say, at least with the falling thing, you can, if you ever want to do a trust fall exercise, who to pair up with for it.
As long as Marissa's always around, I will be able to do it. I would totally will trust fall into Marissa's arms anytime.
Yeah, you're okay, I pick Marissa.
Yeah.
Yes, and then moving on from musical theater a little bit, we kind of talked about your singing songwriting career earlier, but I want to give you a chance to kind of promote it a little more before we end.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that. Yeah, I have a song coming out on Friday. Actually, oh wait, I don't know when this is premiering.
It should be out hopefully Thursday-ish.
Okay, this Thursday?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So Friday, the next day, hopefully, if this is out by the time you watch this, I have a new song coming out. It's called Friends. And it's sort of like a tongue-in-cheek, kind of sexy, fun summer song. And I'm trying to like get it in right towards the end of summer. Although it's feeling more like fall in some other areas. But it's the most, I feel like maybe one of the most pop songs I've ever done. I feel like I tend to veer more like pop soul or like retro pop kind of feels. This one's feels a little bit more like current pop, which is fun. And it's the first time I've ever produced the song by myself, which means like I've always been a part of the producing process. Like I'm always sitting next to whoever's engineering or producing, and we're always like, but they're the ones that are like doing all the magic on the computer. Yeah. And this is the first time that I've really done it by myself, which is really exciting. So I'm very proud of myself for that. So that comes out on Friday, and it'll be everywhere on all the things, Spotify, Apple Music, all those places. So I'm really excited about it. I hope people like it.
And for people who haven't listened to your music before and are missing out, what are your other albums and singles, or EPs and singles that you have out?
Sure, yeah. I released a song called Sorry to Bother You earlier this summer in June, I think. In June, which came out, which is like a more like a mid-tempo soul pop kind of song, R&B kind of song. And that was really fun. That I did that with my friend Kaz Brindis and Mark Byers. They're both wonderful, wonderful, talented dudes. And I wrote that song with my friend Joe as well, Joe Luca. So that's out. I also have the song Sync that was in the Hulu original movie Palm Springs, starring Andy Samberg, which was really cool. It's like in the background of one of those scenes, but whatever, it's in the movie, so that's cool. That song is called Sync, which is already out. And then, I've been lucky enough to have like a song in this Scarlett Johansson comedy with Kate McKinnon called Rough Night that Mark Byers and I worked on. That was really cool. We did like the club scene song for that, which was really fun. So I got quite a few things that people can check out online for sure, and music videos and all the things.
Ooh, yeah. And I mean, for anyone who hasn't listened, I mean, they should.
Thanks. Thank you.
And then some little quick questions because I know you have to go soon. Who would your dream duet partner be?
Dream duet partner. Oh my gosh. I mean, do they have to be alive?
No, they don't have to be alive.
I mean, like it could be. I mean, I would die to sing with Sam Cooke. I would die to sing with Jackie Wilson, Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone. I mean, the list goes on and on. Bill Withers, may he rest in peace. He just died earlier this year. Would have loved to sing with him. I think current people, I've always been a fan of Kelly Clarkson. I just think her voice is unbelievable. I'm also a huge fan of Jack Garrett, and I love like Maggie Rogers, and there's a lot of people I look up to vocally and just as artists too. So that's a hard question. I don't know that I have a number one.
just a ton of people who.
Yeah, just
inspired. Yeah. Let's make them happen if they're alive.
Yes. Yeah. All at the same time.
Yes. It could be like a huge group like song.
Yeah.
And then if you could revive any musical, what would it be?
I could revive any musical. I mean, I wouldn't be in it. I want to revive it just so I can see it, but I never got the opportunity to see Cynthia Erivo in Color Purple, and I would die. I've also never seen that show, so I would love to see that show. I wouldn't be in it. But for one that I would be in, I mean, another dream show of mine is Andrew Lippa's Wild Party. I'd love to do that. So that would be really fun to do again.
Ooh. Someone actually mentioned that the other week. So
yeah.
I feel like it's lesser known, but someone actually mentioned that show the other week.
It is lesser known, and there's two of them. There's, and I feel like Andrew Lip is the more popular one.
Yeah, the Andrew Lip one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another one that like some purists like more, but yeah, it's such a dark, fun show, which I like, and it's very sexy. So yeah.
And then to wrap up, what are you looking forward to most when live theater and live entertainment can come back?
Oh my God, community, people, work. I want to get back to work. An outlet, all of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Just seeing art, being in art, being around people who like art, who like seeing art, who like supporting it, any of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I miss getting to support all you wonderful people and watching on stage and cheer.
Always love seeing you in the audience. You're our favorite face to see. We're always like, oh my God, you guys, Becca's here. But then we're also like nervous because we're like, she's gonna shoot all this, so don't give up. Forever.
It's the best, and y'all are so talented. So, I mean,
thank you.
And then, where can people follow you on social media to keep up with everything that you've done, that you'll be doing in the future, etc.?
Yeah, so I'm the most active on Instagram. I have a Twitter, but I think it just reposts from Instagram. I'm barely ever on it. So I'm at Bianca Gisselle, and my last name has 2 S's and 2 L's. My mom misspelled it on the birth certificate, so blame her. Yeah, so I'm normally on Instagram, and yeah, I would love to say hi to some new people, new faces. That would be fun. And then I have a bunch of like music videos and stuff on YouTube as well.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on this with me, and I hope that I gave you some time to do what you have to do next.
Oh, yes, you did. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. This has been so cool. You said you were doing this. I was like, oh my God, I'm so down. So I'm glad you waited until September for me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I had to have you on. So.
Thank you so much. And I hope once things do get back, we can see your face in the audience again soon, because we miss you.
Of course. I'll be there when things come back.
Good.
Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!